get you in
Hey
this.
Jim, how you doing, Steve? This is an old book.
No, it's old.
I'm better.
That was the last one that they did, right?
Better than, yeah, and they just, you gotta take it for what it's worth, really, it just, you know. They were,
I got a leg.
that's basically a wag.
I got a leg to stand on.
Yes.
Good.
That's always nice.
I got a ladder that don't go to the
I mean, you
top.
see the big numbers there, $20 million, and just.
I don't get on ladders anymore.
Yeah, I've seen that. Oh, yeah. Really interesting, isn't it?
Everybody has an agenda.
Jim, good. Mike, I like that photo of you and Diane.
Oh,
The flashback photo on Facebook, that was nice.
yeah. That was 25 years ago.
Is that when you guys got together 25 years ago?
That's when we got married. Yeah.
Wow, congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah, I remember a lot of the softball trips with your wife.
It's the same.
Yeah.
A lot of softball, played a lot of softball back then.
Probably having a good time over here.
That's probably not. I think that's affecting.
No, I don't know, yeah, I guess. Am I supposed to bring this
No,
up?
I'm not.
Because my memory is short.
No, Dan,
A lot
tonight,
of things get shorter.
Okay, Reed, do you have that recorded? Ready? Okay, this meeting has come to order. This is the Philipsburg Town Council meeting, May 2nd, 2017, 7 o'clock at the Philipsburg Town Hall. Tonight, we are going to start out our agenda by a sesquicentennial update. We have Councilman 80 is going to talk about everybody's a winner. And then Mr. McGuire is going to update us on the Fire Department Relief Association. Then we'll go through our minutes, payroll, water, projects and financials, our standing report, Sheriff, Town Clerk, Director of Public Works, Town Attorney, Library Board, Fire Department, and Parks Board. Old business tonight is the sewer lagoon update, tax options, weed control, and Belmont Street abandonment. New business, appoint new council members to committees, and then we'll have general comment after that. All council members are present except for Councilman Reddish. Our Public Works Director, Mr. Vukinich, is here, also our attorney, Mr. Medoff, and Mr. Spiegel, along with 4 other members of the public. Okay, so you're up, sir.
Okay. All right, I assume you guys got a copy of the calendar of events. So if you check that out, these are events that'll be across the summer, obviously. What we're most concerned with probably is the opening ceremony, and I've got a few notes on that. A lot of these events are put on by different organizations, and then if you guys have any questions about those, you can just let me know. So opening ceremony in front of and inside of the old fire hall, especially if it rains. I talked to Reed today about getting the fire hall right here next door to us for June 22nd. Didn't look like anybody else was asking for that. Well, June 21st too June 21st so we can do cleaning in there and rearranging. And then let's see, what we do really need is to block off the parking spaces just from the corner to the end of the library building, just to give us a little bit of extra space out there in case we need it. Are we gonna have the silver fund set up there or not?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure where the presentation of the check from the Silver Fund will be That's kind of near, but it'll be right in this area someplace, so.
Yeah, that'll be taking
If
place.
it's
that
raining,
day.
it's gonna be in the fire hall. If it's not, it might be in the fire hall. No, that's, you know,
Yeah, I
it
mean,
sounded
yeah.
good, didn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we're just gonna, you know, just wanna block it off a car length deep, so go out 8 to 10 feet off the curb. And I think that's only like 5 spaces or something in that area.
Might start over just from the corner here.
Yeah,
and
just from
it's
the corner right here to the end of the library building.
City
I
property.
got kind of an extensive email from Linda Ransford, and it sounded like she wanted to do something along Sansom
Sansom?
here.
I
Yeah,
don't know if you can, it's.
I would
State
say it's state
highway.
highway. The way it was explained to me was corner of Sansom and Broadway to end of the library building.
okay.
Okay, so there may have been a miscommunication on what they thought, but we did realize that about the state highway. You know, that'd probably taken well, not an act of God, but close. So we figured it was easier to deal with the city. Some days. Okay, our opening ceremony, Thursday, June 22nd, starts at noon. That'll probably go about 45 minutes or so. My notes say 45 minutes max, but you know, much as I'm going to keep that time frame, it'll probably be 45 minutes to an hour is where we're at on that. So after the ceremony, we'll have a birthday party in town hall, right? The fire hall is what it should say. And then we'll have pint night and auctions. This is all just the June 22nd stuff. Fire hall and the Philipsburg Brewery, and of course the Opera House Theater opens that night also. And then at dusk we'll have fireworks. Those are sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce. So if they need to come and talk to you guys about a permit or anything or permission, then tell me now so I can get them in the process of doing that.
Well, I think we've discussed this before, and there's really not a problem with it. As long as everything's safe and.
It should be explained that it's gonna be at the ice rink, is it not? Where's
I'm
Where-
not sure where they're having it. I do know that they're talking to the fire department to have them on site, you know, from 10 o'clock until midnight or so. So that we'll have, you know, fire department trucks sitting out there.
So
in
we
case
don't know
something-
where that's gonna be just yet.
We do not, yeah. And the reason being is because as these events come up and they're done by different committees, you know, then they handle their parameters of what they're gonna do. So, because we just can't run everything, I mean, that's all there is to it. We don't have enough people to do it. So the opening weekend is really gonna be, there's gonna be a lot of stuff going on that weekend. If you guys have never gone to the Granite County Historical Seminars, Friday night and Saturday, there's actually gonna be 2 walking tours on Saturday, one up in Granite and one here in town. You really should attend. It's pretty amazing. Ted Antnoli's running the one up at Granite, and then Jim Walbillig is doing the Philipsburg one. Let's see, also, this Granite County Historical Seminar on Friday night is on the Drummond and Philipsburg Railroad. So, that one should be pretty interesting.
This coming Friday?
On June 23rd, Friday night, at 7 o'clock. So, I think that about does it, unless there's any questions. Oh, and don't miss this one. Julian has been documenting this thing for the last 3 years. The Royal Stamp Mill demonstration on Saturday at 9 a.m. June 24th. If you're in town, you should stop by. That's, we've seen some of the other short demonstrations, but this one should go pretty well, and I can tell you that in the long run, in the short run, this is great. 3 years is not really a short amount of time. But in the long run, this Royal Stamp Mill actually working in working condition, there are so few working stamp mills in the U.S. that people will actually come to see a demonstration of it. So it'll actually bring people in years down the road. So,
I got a question for the young lady from the local press. Is there a possibility you could get this published in regards to community events?
The birthday or we had?
The whole thing?
actually, you want me to answer that? Because
Go
I'm
ahead.
talking to Tom. I've been dealing with Tom Mullen on this, okay, so we are putting out a souvenir paper. The schedule of events is already in the Philipsburg territory. Okay, that just came out. Tom and some of the people on our committee have been working to put out a souvenir paper that's strictly for the sesquicentennial.
Okay.
It'll be published in that. And then also too, on probably June 15th, I think that schedule of events is I think Tom is planning to publish that in the Philipsburg Mail. So,
Glad to hear.
If you want to coordinate something with QSBN, our following is currently 8,500 people.
you bet. You don't have a copy of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do,
I mean,
yeah.
if you want to coordinate any coverage,
Sure, definitely. Speaking of coverage,
because we can do live too.
oh, okay, well, that's good, because actually on the 22nd, I know we're probably gonna have live remotes from KBOW. And I'm pretty sure KPAX will show up. So,
Should I talk to you or Diane?
Diana,
Okay.
yep.
Okay, the only thing that I would like to see us do for this centennial is have some kind of lunch or a barbecue up at the Big Town Park sometime during this period of time. It was brought up, and here comes a gentleman that brought it up, Mr. Jenner, but having like a little bit of music and no alcohol, just a barbecue that you can bring your kids to, because we are ramping up the park advisory board, and I do know that we could probably get some local people to go up there and jam for a couple hours and just have a free barbecue up there to promote our parks and our sesquicentennial. But I don't know if that's a date that we could fit in at this time, or if something we could do with that, but I think it would be nice to tie that into our sesquicentennial.
Okay, I'll definitely bring it up, but, and we've accelerated our meetings. We were at 1 a month, now we're at 2 a month.
When are those?
So I'll bring it up at our next meeting for this and see what we can come up with.
When are those?
I do not know right now. I should, but I didn't write that down, so I can't tell you.
You know, I don't know if we set a date.
I don't think we did, actually.
Okay. Well, just
so-
let us know.
You bet. Also, too, speaking of that, Sheriff Dunkerson is on the email list, so we'll add you guys to it.
Okay.
Okay? So that way he can coordinate stuff with his staff if he feels he needs extra people or whatever. So he's kept apprised of the events. So I'll have Diana add you guys.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that she's sending stuff to my government email.
So shouldn't she?
No, she should. That's
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
I'm saying I could share it too with what's already coming.
okay.
Okay, do we have any other questions from the council? Thank you very much, and
You bet.
we will keep in touch with you. We got a month here, I believe, and then.
Yeah, it's getting quick.
It's getting quick, yeah, and I'm so excited. I think you guys have done a great job, and we appreciate it from the town standpoint, and thank you for all your hard work, and make sure you tell your wife Diana that, you know, we really
Okay.
appreciate
If
it.
anybody has any large amounts or even small amounts of cash laying around, we are a 501c3 and we could,
That's true. We
Okay.
have gotten several donations from townspeople, so.
Okay,
The new bed and breakfast that here's got a lot of money.
You know, they don't. Did you see that damn fence?
Yeah, I heard that's why they got it, because they have so much money.
okay. Let's go ahead and go on to, Councilman 80, everybody's a winner.
Okay, let me stand on this side, because, take my hat off, I'm not on the council right now. Okay, as this is the 6th year for Everyone's a Winner, as most of you know, it's a deal I've been putting on for Flint Creek Valley Days. It immediately follows the parade on Saturday, runs for 3 hours, and it's just all kinds of stuff for the kids. And I keep bumping it up and bumping it up and bumping it up, and this year I bumped it up again, so I gotta raise about $5,500 to keep it free, which I'm not worried about because I'm in the process of becoming a 501c3. So, I can issue that. What I'd like to ask the council, and in the past, they have done this, is to waive the fee for the usage of the day. However, now that I'm on the town council and I'm gonna be a trash Nazi, I will pay $50 to either the town or to the Smithsonian kids to pick up the garbage. Okay, so, yes, well, I appreciate the park. I also don't think it's a responsibility of, I mean, it's our facility, we need to take care of it properly, and I think $50 is fair. Cover toilet paper, cover the garbage, and whatever else we create. And again, I'll be glad to give it to the town, or if the Smithsonian kids are doing the garbage this year, as they've done in the past, and if they pick it up, I'd be glad to give the money to them. So there's 2 questions. And that's it, that's my presentation.
Okay, as far as the waiver of the fee, I think we just decided that amongst the council members last time, just on a vote. And so maybe we should make a motion to waive the fee.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that's taken care of.
Okay,
$50,
I think it's fair.
oh,
You know,
I'm not saying that, but I don't
and-
know what to say, whether the town or I would say Smithsonian kids.
Well,
should
probably
get
the
that.
Smithsonian kids,
Yeah.
but if they don't, if they're not gonna do it this year, I haven't talked to the school board. I will tell the council at this point, I am on the school board's agenda a week from tonight to talk to them not only about Everyone's a Winner, but perhaps some projects they might have for us.
How about the interior cleanup of the building?
But yeah, we'll clean it up, we always have.
Oh, I'm
So-
just asking.
Yeah, no, we'll clean it up, we'll have all the garbage in a pile right there, you know, and, but we're asking the town to supply us with a few garbage bags and some toilet paper, and, you know, before we crack into the beer and the pizza for the volunteers afterwards, we'll make sure everything's cleaned up.
Perfect. Why don't we, on that matter, since you need to talk to high school, why don't you, we'll put this on the agenda for a working meeting, just to,
Okay,
and you can tell us what happened.
sure,
We'll go ahead and make a decision, but
Okay.
both ones are positive to me, but I prefer to go as the mayor with the Smithsonian.
right, okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, thank you. Any questions from the audience?
Did, Jim, are you asking for any additional money, a part of that 5,500?
Not from the town,
Didn't we give you money last year? No,
we, the town,
we the town.
no. No, I've never asked the town for any money.
If you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Well, yeah, but,
I'm
yeah, I've learned over the years how to get what I need. So, and it's for the kids. It's a pretty easy sell, a lot easier than the sewer.
Mr. Ray?
Yeah, I had something, so is the, Public Works Director gonna, I mean, usually they come to John, you know, for the cleanup thing. I'm just speaking as a town crew employee, but It seemed like in the past there was an agreement that the local bars and stuff threw in money, right, Jim?
Right.
So has any of that been hashed out, or?
I'm not sure, like I said, I go in front of the school board a week from tonight, and that's one of the things I'll ask
Yeah,
about.
good, perfect, that way we're not left.
David,
No.
are we talking about two different things, like Flint Creek Valley Days to clean up?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
well, this is during
That's
Flint
it.
Creek
I
Valley.
understand that, but I was
Well,
making
that's that weekend.
the personal assumption here that they were two different events or venues.
No.
Maybe you could throw that at them, Jim, and
Yeah.
that way we know that the kids are coming. If they're not, then we'll have to get
If
our
we're not,
staff
yeah,
out.
if not, then what I'll do is divert the money directly to the town.
Yeah,
And
either
the
way.
town can take care of it once it's ready to go.
Good.
Okay, any questions from the council? Okay, thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Next on our agenda is Mr. McGuire with the Fire Department Relief Association.
Thank you for having me. I've been the treasurer for the fire department for the last 2 years and also took on our Fire Department Relief Association, which is a separate entity. It was formed back before the turn of the century, and it was a fund put in place for disabled firefighters, things like that. We've had 2 CDs for as long as I can look back into, and they've been in the bank here in Philipsburg at Granite Mountain. They reassess the amount of interest they draw yearly, and we have one $100,000 CD that is at 0.015 and one $5,000 CD that is at 0.035. I went to the bank and asked them if we could do something a little better, and they declined. So we as a fire department and the Relief Association wanted to come to the town and see if they wanted to borrow that $105,000 at a decent rate so that the town, could borrow that money less than what they could go to a bank and borrow it. And our retirees and Relief Association would benefit from a higher interest rate that would accrue. It's been a struggle the last 2 years to get this all straightened out with the state of Montana, to be in compliance with their laws, and we finally have that in order, but it was my understanding that the original fund was set up so that the town of Philipsburg would help maintain its funds, whether that was through mill levies or however they would do that. And I'm still working on trying to understand how the town would be able to help us with that, but for now, I think the important thing would be to try to loan the money that we have in the bank here, and we can't take it out of this county. So,
if I may add something here, there's some interesting statutes that govern these relief associations and the investment of their funds. I'm looking here at statute MCA 19-18-402. Basically, their money has to be invested in either a time or savings deposit in a solvent bank located within the county, bonds or securities of the United States government, that's B, or general obligation bonds or warrants of any state, county, or city. So that's why there are more investment options with this, and it may or may not be a good option for the town to take that as a loan, replace a higher interest rate obligation. I've been working with Bob and the Relief Association on some of their stuff, so that's what we were looking into.
So you're saying it is possible?
It is possible, and as far as investment of the funds from the Fires Relief Association, they're basically stuck with that bank or not a whole lot in bonds otherwise.
Do you have an interest rate in mind, or?
it would be beneficial for both parties is all I could say. I know interest rates are going up, but you can't really go down from 0.0. So.
Or 0.035.
Yeah, it's not, years ago when interest rates were at 5 and 6% that they were drawing, our retirees, they had some pretty nice checks for their years of service, but this last year I wrote all 13 each a check for $50, and whereas before the Relief Association did it quarterly, and it was a good deal, but the fund has not maintained itself other than we get a check from the state of Montana, the state auditor's office, and I believe that comes from the insurance commission. And as long as we file the correct paperwork and report, and we're in compliance with the state of Montana, they give us like $1,700. And it seems like that goes down a little bit every year as well. But I did speak with one of the auditors at the state of Montana probably 10 times to get all of our financial reports in line, and there's a lot of fire department relief associations that were formed 100 years ago, and there was so many misappropriation of funds and intermingling with their fire departments that they were mostly dissolved. So I wasn't the only one that was going through these audits, but I think our relief association probably finished our audit first because of our due diligence.
Well, and I know Fire Chief Ray brought this up, over a year ago, correct? I mean, maybe 2 years ago.
I think it was 2 or 3 years
Yeah,
ago.
it's been, well, how about the council? What's your feelings? I think we should take this to committee.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree with that. Haven't we been doing
I
something
think
like this
it
in another
could be
capacity?
real helpful, and obviously we're gonna get a pretty good interest
This
rate.
amount of money.
But with the fire
Oh,
hall, the
yeah.
funding of the fire hall, didn't
Right.
we do something similar?
Well, we basically put it out on a bond, right? That's how the fire hall was purchased.
Well, that would be my take on it, is why wouldn't you take that money, borrow that money? The fire department would give you a better deal than what the bank would give you, and then give the taxpayers pay on that fire department loan that the taxpayers are, I mean, I'm not a money guy, but it would make more sense than paying what you're paying for interest.
So when I was
Pay the
actually
interest back to the fire department.
Exactly, at a better rate.
At a better rate than what.
when I was the deputy clerk here, I did some research into this. This was under the old mayor. And Craig Sorensen approached the bank about basically borrowing the money from the fire department, paying down the fire hall loan. And there was some back and forth. It didn't seem like the bank was offering good refinancing terms. But that conversation, I think, probably should have been continued and didn't at a certain point. But there was definitely some middle ground that would be beneficial to both parties.
Yes.
What's the interest rate on that loan?
5%.
So you're paying 5% on a bank loan on the fire hall. Okay, so if you paid the fire department, if you paid down your loan $100,000 and paid us 3%, then we'd actually be able to pay our retirees something. Unless there's a prepayment penalty on this loan, which is what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be negotiated with the bank first.
But that's, you know, if Bob's done a phenomenal job getting all this under control, and unfortunately, small towns, the volunteers, the retirees make so little. If we'd been under the state, they're making about $230 a month is what you make as a retired volunteer with a fire service district or a fire service area. We are a municipal, so we make virtually nothing. But it's time that we all got together, and these guys that have done so much for the years made something. And we have other guys who are retiring that, you know, after 20 years, they get barely enough to buy a dinner. But if you took the 100,000 or whatever it is and paid down, I think it's a win-win for everybody.
It is. So would you be able to attend if we had a committee meeting, would you be able to attend us with some actual numbers and just what Mr. Jenner is saying so that we can, I mean, but just.
You need to understand, our department here has gone to the state and said, we need to clean this up. And the state has said, you're the first guys that have ever come here that really wanna clean this up. I mean, that's who's here telling you about it. So Mr. McGuire can definitely carry our water in this negotiation. But it would seem logical that, you know, if we get real, we cannot make the money go outside the county, but we can issue something to the town with a warrant that'd be beneficial to everybody, and that's what we tried to get going, and Reed was involved, it died for lack of a second, didn't it, Reed?
Even if it wasn't
What do you mean by that?
a bond or a loan to the town to pay down the firewall
Right.
debt.
We have other bonds
I'm
too.
sure there's other
Yeah.
things that the town could use the money for that you'd otherwise borrow from someone else. So it's something to look at, for sure.
What's the balance on the note at the fire hall?
Approximately 190,000. We pay
So
about.
you paid it down 100, you'd still owe the bank 90, but you'd only be paying the 5% on the 90, not the 190.
It's a matter of whatever the lending agency is, they have to be able to refinance on terms that are good for the town as well. So if the local bank is not gonna be the one that does it, we have other lending agencies that we could possibly go to.
Would
I
that,
pay my mortgage down $100,000, I don't renegotiate anything.
yeah.
I just owe $100,000 less.
Some of these loans, might have prepayment
But they're-
penalties
yeah.
similar
That's the
provisions
key.
that prevent that, and I'm not seeing this loan to comment on its specifics, but that's what we're worried about.
That makes sense.
Well, and I think it'd be best, like I say, if we get together as a committee, our financial committee, and really look at this, you know, again, this has been brought up before. I don't think it was, we have a new council, a new mayor, maybe, like I say, we can have a different, fresh look on this and get this to become reality for us. Because I agree, it's finances, and anytime we can help out the town finances it's good for all of us, so. And we do appreciate all the work that you do and the retirees and all that, you know, I've been through that with my father, so. Let us do that, we'll put a committee together, I'll, schedule it and I'll let you know. And if you wanna bring anybody else, that's fine, and we'll just hash this out when we get some more details, how's that sound?
Sounds great, thank you for your consideration.
Thanks for bringing it to us, Bob.
Yes, really appreciate it.
It's a good opportunity.
Okay, any other questions from the council? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we're gonna go minutes of the prior meeting. So let's go ahead and, do we have any minutes?
We do it at the mid-month usually.
Okay, all right. Okay, let's go through the payroll and bills payable.
Nothing extraordinary about the payroll, pretty standard. Pretty much what I say every time, I guess. There was maybe a few extra overtime hours,
Yeah, minimal overtime, but. yeah.
but no crazy calls out into the night where the crew had to work through it or anything. Do you guys have any questions about that?
I do not. Council? No. Let's go ahead and go to the claims payable then.
Okay. Let's see. John got some maps from the county. So that's the first thing. Bloomquist sent us another bill on the water rights. Do you have any idea how many more of those bills we're gonna get?
Yeah, probably continuing until middle of summer. I would anticipate maybe a little bit longer. They might ramp up here in the next month or two as we're gonna be pursuing a lot of this stuff with the water court, and then hopefully wind down the next few months after that. Yeah, I'll talk about that a little later.
So it's gonna be $1,000 a month until they get it figured out, and then it's gonna go up to $2 or $3,000?
I would expect starting May is the month that all this stuff is being looked at with the court. It's gonna go up to $2 or $3,000. I would think. I can't say exactly what it's gonna be. It's billable hours, and then I think we're gonna see the highest bills in the next couple of months, and then it should start dropping dramatically to zero after that.
So these people are representing us, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, we felt that, just a little background, we felt that the water right issue was a big issue to the town. It hasn't really been looked at carefully for several years, and we just didn't wanna get caught with some big surprise, and so I did, along with the council and Mr. Medoff, we did hire another group to pursue that in-hill enough for us.
And they're really just two claims at this point that we're trying to finalize and make sure that they're recorded for the town's benefit in the future. And once those two are done, should be pretty much cleared out. And last time we have to look at this for a long time.
Does this have to do with the spring?
I'm sorry?
Does this have to do with the spring, our portion of the water rights?
No, Boulder Creek and Frost Creek, I believe, are two of those.
And I'll show you that information if you need to get it.
They're doing the water court is looking at all of the Flint Creek Basin, so that's why this is the time to pursue this stuff.
All right.
Okay, go ahead, Reed.
Yeah, well, just think. I mean, it's gonna end up being about $10,000, huh?
It's possible. Yeah, we're about 3,000, 4,000 right now. So I don't know exactly how many hours it's gonna take for them to finalize this stuff, but it might get that high.
Just curious, how often do we go through this process?
This should be the last time, really. It's
20
maybe
some
once a
years.
decade, but I think this is the last time Flint Creek will be looked at.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Reed.
MSC, water and sewer testing. I'm going with John to the training in Billings next week. Visa for the library. Got Cenex fuel cards. Magazine renewal for the library. Got our Northwest Energy bill. Visa stuff. I mean, it's just shipping on our water and sewer samples. We have our website, monthly payment, quarterly sheriff payment, and then a little bit of money to Tracy. So not a ton of items, but that quarterly payment for the sheriff's contract it kind of brings it up to $28,000, $29,000 for this.
Okay, do we have any questions from the council? Do we have a motion to pass the claims list
I'll make that motion.
And payroll.
and payroll? Second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Let's go on to our next one, which is water and sewer adjustments.
Down to one.
Wow.
Oh, wow, this is great. That's never happened before.
We didn't have any rollovers or any of that kind of stuff, or any crazy leaks. This was related to that meter that was broken in the parking lot next to Winninghoff Park.
Oh.
I guess it got run over by a plow or something, and the issue was their fence line didn't actually go to their property line, so it's on their property, but I think we assumed that it was town's because the fence line didn't go there, so.
And I made this decision
That was for the,
to take
Dead
39,
rights,
yeah, to take, because the water meter wasn't reading for a couple of months because we didn't know it was broken, or we did know it was broken or whatever, so I refunded them $39 off of their water bill. Cause they did not do it, so.
Yeah, I guess, those meter pits were put on private property so that the customer was responsible for them. If their fence is not you know, where it goes, I would say then, because it's right in the parking lot, it's gonna get hit again. That's
She did.
Earl.
She mentioned that they were
Ogden?
gonna redo the fence.
So we're gonna move the fence out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and whatever, I mean, it wasn't that tough to fix, so.
Well, thank you.
Whatever.
Okay, let's go ahead. Do we have a motion to pass the sewer and water adjustments?
I'll make the motion.
Second? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Let's go ahead and go to the project request payments. First one is Sanderson Stewart. This is the invoice for April 12th, 2017, number four, excuse me, 42,620. It's for a total amount of $1,720. This has to do with phone calls with the DEQ, DNRC, and the town to review the sludge removal plan, review John Vukanich's plan for sludge removal and Lagoon updates, review previous cost estimates for sludge removal, discuss dredging plans with Veris Environmental. And I believe if you look past that, you should have a description of the charges. Is that correct, or is this a different?
This is the project, the outfall one project, the final estimate.
Oh, okay. So the work that was completed cost us $218,708 for the outflow line, which was estimated at approximately, I believe, when we first looked. That's this sheet right here, Reed, I'm looking at.
Okay, let's do these one at a time.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
It's on the second page.
oh, I
Sorry,
didn't
I'm
know that
getting
these were separate.
These are all, you got 3 separate ones
Okay,
here.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so, do I have a motion to pay the invoice 42,620 for 1720 .34
Yes.
Second?
Second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Nay,
Nay? One
nay, I'm a
Okay.
nay voter.
Okay.
So noted. So noted. What's an administrative expense? Sorry, I can't vote the status quo. I just can't do it.
You should read the contract with the engineer, then you'd know.
Well, I know what they do, but I mean, this is like their $200 emails. No emails were $200. So,
Well, that's a matter of opinion, not necessarily a fact.
okay, well, it's my opinion.
Yeah, well, everybody's got one.
Okay.
Okay, so we do have a nay vote on that? Okay, 5,
Let's do that discussion before the final vote next time.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so the next one then is and I've never seen this format, I guess, is why I'm kind of taking off on this.
This is the bid sheet.
This is the bid
should
sheet.
be-
Submitted by Senator Stewart, and the bid, excuse me, and the bid items and the totals and the total contract and what's remaining.
Which portion of which are remaining?
Down on the bottom.
$23,311.20 is what you need.
Yeah, this one is for 23,311.20. So you guys, sorry.
No, that's okay, finally found it at the bottom.
There was another.
This is not what's due to the engineer, this is what's due to Intermountain.
Yeah.
Right, the work,
Yeah, exactly, the
yeah.
contractor.
That they, yeah, the finish up, is that the doing the finish up work they were doing in the
And it's-
spring? That was already
It's all
planned
done,
out? Yeah.
it is all done, yeah.
Great, that was.
And it was walked, the mayor and Dan Reddish,
That was
I was there
wonderful.
momentarily.
Yeah, that whole project was perfection.
So then do I make a motion to pay Intermountain contract the sum on this sheet? And that sum is what?
$23,311.20. I'll make the motion to pay the bill.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 All against, say nay. Okay, I know, I'm just making sure I cover
Okay,
all my bases.
so there was actually another Sanderson Stewart one. I think it got sucked in through the printer with the other ones, so. Sorry about that.
Okay, so this invoice is 42,621 from Sanderson Stewart dated April 12, 2017. This is dealing with phone calls, emails with the DEQ to review ammonia mixing zone requirements, review John Vucinich's plan for Lagoon improvements, review land application option, and review town's DMR for January. You want to comment on this at all, Mr. Vucinich?
I don't think I have that.
Oh, sorry. Can I just John Mercer?
Oh, so this was basically for the month of March, not the month of April.
Correct.
They both say March.
You know, from
Yeah,
March
this
fourth
was
to March
March.
31st.
Oh, right on the back here.
Two different projects.
Two different task orders.
These are two different invoices for the
Right.
same
Yes.
period.
Right, yeah. Okay, so do I have a second to pay, this invoice, $1,106.40, to Sanderson Stewart? Do I have a motion for that?
I'll make the motion.
Second? Okay, any discussions on this before we vote? Okay, do we get a second? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against?
Hey,
Okay. 5-1. 4-1, I'm sorry. Okay, so that takes care of that part. Financials.
Okay. Start with the statement of expenditure. I don't know if anyone had any questions from last month, if they reviewed the financials and anything seemed to pop out. Nothing. So everything's looking pretty good. We're nearly through the year. We're 10, 12, 5/6 of the way through the year, so we're in line with spending on pretty much everything. It's looking good. And we will probably need to have a couple finance committee meetings coming up, not only discuss the fire hall alone, but the upcoming budget. Our fiscal year ends June 30th, so.
Yeah, it's not too far away.
Yep. And then on the revenue side, all looks pretty good too. The study commission is a little lacking, but that's okay, because that's done. So, general fund's a little low, but that's because we have one of our big tax payments in June. So I think that's still looking pretty healthy.
As far as revenue, correct?
Yes. So.
But everything else, you feel comfortable about it on this report?
Yep.
Okay, so do I have a motion to pass the financials?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 All against say nay. Okay, that has been completed. We have no sheriff here tonight. Reed, do you have anything else that is pressing that you want to talk about as far as standing reports?
No, just that I'll be out of town in Billings next week, so Sherry will be filling in. I'll get her set up so she can run the show for a week, and I think we'll be
got your
okay.
number on speed dial, right?
Maybe text first. I'll be in class, so.
Okay, all right. Okay, Mr. Vucinich, Director of Public Works.
I included the staff meeting that we have on Tuesday mornings, and so this is kind of a more pertinent update to things that are going on around the town. If you have any questions, we can talk about it. It's pretty much the same. We've got some sewer issues that Robert Meadoff and I are gonna be working with. Fred McDonald on his side sewer. And there has to be some decision made on the decking at the ice rink, and maybe that's a decision that has to be made by the Parks Board.
At least a recommendation.
Yeah. Well, I've studied a couple different options, and the existing decking is just coming apart. And I'd like to see it done before the barbecue on Father's Day weekend. So.
That's gonna be that's a hazard, the way that deck is now. I mean, to say the least.
I understand that.
It's a liability to the town.
Right, and we have, just so that the rest of the council and the public understand, we have contacted Jay Harper to look at it with Mr. Vukinich and give us his recommendations. He's afraid that we're not only gonna have to replace the boards on the top, but he thinks that possibly the framework underneath is compromised also. I mean, that's just what.
We took some of it apart.
Yeah, it's rotting.
Well, it's pressure treated. I don't know that it's rotted.
Didn't you say before?
I thought it was pretty decent shape.
Yeah.
And David Ray is here.
Yeah.
Yeah, David and Sam and took it apart. At least at that point I did, you know, without taking the whole thing off and, all the decking off and not being able to see it all.
So that's for the materials that requested it?
Yeah, there is no additional floor joists or anything like that in this proposal. This is just pressure treated plywood and then a half-inch rubber mat, recycled tire mat.
What about labor? Does that include labor?
No,
or is that just
no,
materials?
that's materials, yeah.
How much more for labor do you think?
Well, it'll be at least that much more.
So, recycled rubber mat, you're thinking for material?
Along with pressure treated plywood, David.
Sheriff?
Thank you. Not anymore, but several months ago, the Rotary Club earmarked $1,000 to the town to go towards the repair or materials of the deck. So, and that still stands. So, we write you guys a check anytime.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Mayor,
Appreciate that.
Dan's gonna be gone for how long?
Till the 15th. The next park board meeting's the 25th of May, I believe.
Okay.
So, but I mean, if this issue, I'm gonna let the Public Works Director and his crew and along with Mr. Harper come up with the best solution that they think is for the job. I mean,
Father's Day, the first part of June.
You're comfortable with
Yes.
Sunday,
Yeah.
Do we need to have that on the agenda to get it, to vote to get it fixed and to go ahead with it?
I don't think so.
Just administrative
No,
thing?
it's basically just another claim.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Okay,
And
anything?
really, it's a, the timing is certainly relevant to June 22nd, and, this sesquicentennial, 150 years birthday, let's call it that.
It needs to be, the bottom line is it needs to be fixed, period. And
Putting it off won't help.
yeah,
Sooner the better.
yeah. So I have given John permission to,
Any questions about the work report? And we're probably just looking at it. And that's all I have.
I do want to compliment yourself and the town crew for the maintenance of the streets, the cleaning of the streets, the effort that you guys have put in to make this town a better place to be. You don't know how much that means to at least me and I think the council in general, but also the public to see us out there, and you guys have done a tremendous job. And I just wanna thank you I wanna make a motion to thank you for all your work.
Yeah, thank David Ray, he's the one out running the sweeper.
You guys are doing a great job.
John, any word from the state on signs yet? As far as
No.
coming into town?
No.
It's everybody.
I would expect them to go to you first.
I would hope,
Well,
but maybe not.
Okay, anything else?
no, unless there are any other questions.
We're gonna talk about some of these other issues, so. Okay, town attorney, Mr. Medoff.
So I guess we'll start, we've been working with billing water bills, sending out letters. I sent out a final letter 2 weeks ago or so, after the first 2 letters were disregarded by about 5 folks, and 2 or 3 of those have come in to make arrangements?
Yeah.
5.
There's just a couple hanging out there still.
One of them keeps getting returned, we can't find the owner, so we're gonna file a lien on that, either 1 or 2 others, and continue the process of sending out additional letters and cleaning them if they don't.
Robert,
Come into compliance.
Is it vacant property? Does it have somebody living there?
We have to determine that. Do you know for Larry Miller?
Oh,
So he may be vacant, we might have to address it that way.
Yes.
I could touch on that. And I don't agree with it, but I'll bet you about 5 years ago, there was an agreement that was made with the council. And probably have to check your minutes, but they were gonna dissolve that water bill and there's no water there.
Okay.
Is that the same water bill? There's no water turned on there, there hasn't been for over 5 years.
We have to do some research and then.
I bet you if you looked,
So.
and if I think about it, I could probably kinda tell you about the year of it, but maybe the person that actually owned the place made an agreement with the council, and I don't know what it was, but I bet you could look in your minutes, and I happened to be at that council meeting,
Okay.
so I know that one, there was an agreement that was made. Maybe if you had minutes from,
For disconnect?
no, I don't know what the deal was, they made a deal.
Is that up on Kearney?
No, it's right, Larry Miller? Yeah, it's right at the shop, there's no water there.
Okay, so thank you, we'll look into that and see what we need to do.
Yeah.
Doesn't that fall under, however, the minimum base rate?
I don't know.
Cause I
Yeah,
believe
that's a
what
good
we're
point.
charging,
Yep,
so
that's a good point.
see what
I don't know.
agreement was made there, otherwise we're
That's a really
kind of
good
trudging
point.
through these and they're getting.
They're getting handled.
Handled,
That's
cleaned
good.
up, so.
And basically what our approach to this, and I'm gonna just say up front, our approach is if people aren't gonna stick to the contracts that we have set up with them, especially after the second time that we've done this, then we're gonna go after them through the lien.
It's good.
Our next,
Do you think that was at least 5 years ago?
Yep, well, then before John came here, he's been here 5 years, right, John?
Just feels like 15.
But he's right, you can't, they gotta pay the base rate,
yeah, I'll.
$109 or 102.
Well, but that's for
98,
sewer too.
What is it?
Sewer.
55 for sewer and 44.50 for water.
Yeah, good for you. Yeah, get it.
So.
Okay, we'll investigate that.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead and
Other
continue.
than that, on water, we're gonna go through the process of getting some of these on the tax rolls, which is essentially July is our timeline for that. That's when they take all of those, July 7th, and that'll clear them off of our books and time to the county taxes, and then they'll reimburse us as those are eventually paid. Other than that, as you all know, there's a lawsuit filed against the town. We filed the answer on that, I think a week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks now, waiting to hear back from the court as to the hearing date or whatnot. Other than that, we're looking into dogs and weed control, and both of those I think are best done in conjunction with the county. Doing some research, Brett and I were over talking with the commissioners this morning, trying to figure out the best approach to handling those two issues. The county has some of their rules, and we have our rules as to both of those issues, and kind of want to coordinate to make them all match up would probably be the best approach here.
Also including, tomorrow night I am going to Drummond to meet with the commissioners and the town of Drummond. And these issues will be discussed, so we're looking at more of an approach on those two topics as more of a county, including the towns that are involved in it, and trying to come up with something that will mesh with all three of us, or, or what, this area, so.
When is that, Brett?
That's tomorrow night at 6 o'clock at the Drummond Library.
Excuse me, Mayor, does Paul have a organized community?
No.
No? Okay.
There's 127, from what I gathered when I went to the mayor's conference, there's 127 incorporated towns in the state of Montana.
And
So,
Paul is not one.
and they're not one of them, yes, from what I know. Okay, anything else, or
That's about all I have, unless there are any questions.
any questions from the council?
Yeah, I've got a question. You were talking about a lawsuit. Does that refer to what's going on with Ms. Butler?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for your hard work. You've been grinding her out here the last month, and very appreciated.
Thank you.
Library board, I don't know, Julian, do you wanna talk about that?
Yeah, okay, so,
Councilman Ritchie, I'm sorry.
no problem. So the library board wants to get together with the council and mayor to discuss their expansion, moving forward with their expansion plan and what their plans are and what they've been working on for, quite a while now. And making sure that we're all getting coordinated on the same page as to, what the library is going to be responsible for, what town hall is gonna be responsible for, how we're gonna coordinate it, what we're going to do and how it's gonna happen.
That's been 2 months now that they've talked about.
Yeah, but the last board meeting, that's what they decided to do, so now they want to set a meeting with the council, so the library board and town council meet, which will be the first time.
Maybe
since-
our next meeting?
No, I think it should be a separate meeting, other than the
Regular councilman.
regular council meeting, yeah.
Gina approached me today about having a meeting a week from today, next Tuesday night.
Will Dan be back?
No.
No, it would be better if we could wait till Dan goes back.
You guys can. That's all I was told, to just mention it to the council.
Okay, we'll figure out
Okay.
what is gonna be appropriate for that.
I'll talk to Gina.
Okay.
Other than that, it's pretty much status quo, they're doing pretty good.
And by the way, we do, Mr. Hoscheid, construction has been over here to look at this building. There are he considers them to be minor fixes to stabilize some of the wall in there. There's some cracks in the wall where you can see through. It's shifted. This corner over here is coming out on the, southwest corner. And then also the damage that was done to the front of the building. So, he's gonna be working with a contractor to get that work done, so.
Did you get a contractor yet?
Klein,
I think.
Casey Klein gave us an estimate that I sent to the insurance company, so waiting to hear back.
Okay, fire department.
All right. Let's see here, I have a couple of.
Excuse me,
Library.
excuse me.
Sorry, I just had a library comment to make. Sorry.
Sure.
I had asked them because they're also interested in redistricting to get the numbers together for what their current operating costs
right,
are, what they would anticipate the impact of the redistricting being, and then also what the operating cost would be with the expansion if that were to happen, so
Except, I
so
think though,
everybody
that
knows
the,
that's what I'm hoping that meeting that she wants to have is about.
well, actually, I don't think that they were, I mean, that could be part of that meeting, but they're talking about the renovation of the building, which is not, there's no revenue from the redistricting going into the renovation, that's all for operating and maintenance.
Right, but they have yet to provide, as far as I understand, a budget of what their current operating costs are. And I feel like that's important to have as a reference point for
the
what they're expecting from the redistricting, and then what are the operating costs gonna be when they do the expansion.
Oh, you mean the difference?
I feel like it's all kind of tied
Okay, so the
together.
difference of the operating costs now versus after the expansion. Yeah, I.
And how much will the redistricting cover their operating costs?
Meaning how much more will, so how much more their operating costs are after the expansion and making sure that what they redistrict is covering for
Right.
that, that's what you're
That's
saying.
what
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea.
I'm hoping they present to
Okay.
us.
I'm gonna meet with Dustin later this week to discuss some stuff, so.
Okay.
Let me
Concerning
make-
that exactly.
I'm gonna get a hold of
Perfect.
Gina, so I'll make a note of that.
I hope we get a chance to see this new plan. Which we haven't seen any plan or updated
Oh, you mean
plan
for the
library, for
I
what this is.
believe they have
for the
one.
redistricting?
No,
or the
no, no, no,
expansion?
just the physical structure of the building, what their plan is.
For the, okay, you mean the floor plan?
Yeah, what we get, what they get. Yeah.
And I think that's basically what the meeting is for us
To
to
figure these things out,
figure these
all
things
these
out.
things out.
Bring it out into the open,
Yeah.
flesh it out a little bit. Okay,
Sorry.
no, you don't have to say it, I appreciate it, I'm
Yes,
glad
thank-
that you commented.
thank you, Council.
Go ahead, fire department.
I
Chief Ray.
just a couple of quick things. Last month I told you we had a few guys going over to a fire academy in Harrison. It went really well. Learned a lot of stuff to bring back to the town. On the other hand, the SCBA bottles we've been talking about for a couple of months. I've been to the county and they've matched what I asked for from the town. They matched that, so.
So where do we go now? Read on that.
We have to amend the budget in order to incorporate that expense.
Can we
Unless we're gonna,
incorporate it into the next fiscal year?
we could, but
I mean, can
He's
you
asking
wait
for-
till July 1st?
Your credit's probably good with
I
that.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, that would probably be a little
That's fine.
easier process for us to give you the money versus, because again, we didn't budget for that in this last budget.
Right, no, I know, and that's
That would be
completely up to you
satisfactory
guys.
with you guys if you
Yeah, no,
approached it
just-
that way.
Yeah, as long as I know, so we can.
Start.
We don't upset the bookkeeper, but.
So
That
David,
that town county match is the first time that's happened
that's
with
good.
our budgeting for equipment.
Excellent.
Since the fire service area was created, so it sets a really good precedent, we thank you very much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's for what, a dozen SCBA bottles, which are oxygen bottles, which are 30-year life on those, or
15.
15?
so that's 2/3 of the money you need. It's 15 grand to get all the bottles you want, correct?
Correct, 14 and some change.
Okay.
I, like I said, if I can guarantee that money, then I can call and see what kind of a deal until
Okay.
we, if I don't have the cash in hand. then I'm
Okay,
not-
and that includes 2 more or whatever you need for the town as well? Don't we have to keep them up in the chlorinator?
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
We keep them in the powerhouse.
In the
yeah,
power?
we do.
Okay.
So I'll try to figure out something for that, Jim. If maybe I could figure out a way to retire a couple that we have and sneak them up there and
Okay.
I'll figure it out, but yeah, you're right.
We need a motion on that, or?
No, I think, I think we are.
Reed, could that come out of the sewer fund?
sure.
Well, no, I'm saying there are, there's,
Yeah, is that what the
Knox
building is for?
yeah, well, no, but there's noxious gases in, you know, in sewer manholes and kind of, it's a bit of a stretch, but
This is an expenditure that can go through the mayor that we can talk about in a, probably a different format.
Yeah, I don't think we need a motion on that.
And I guess, yeah, just let us know so we know, and then the balance we'll try to make up at the clam feed, and we'll just go from there, but yeah, just let us know when we're good.
Just speaking with the fellow members of the council, I think it's a really a good situation for, especially since we are in an interlocal agreement with the county.
Yeah.
This is perfect.
Yeah.
And again, we will do that. I'll talk to Reed and then I will get back to you, Chief Ray. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Yep, just let me know so I don't put the horse before the cart before the horse or whatever. And then I had one other thing was, Mr. Medoff has been helping huge. Thank you. You're definitely a huge asset to this community, and I thank you.
Thank you.
So,
I agree.
and that's all I have, so.
I got a question for David. Have you done any more checking on what other stuff is expiring? I was just thinking of, since we're coming up on a new budget, that maybe we need to address that at the same time.
Yeah.
So we're not through this having to wait a whole year. I
Yeah,
mean, if
and
we,
I'll tell you what I could do, Dwayne, and that's a good point, is what I do for the county is I spin up this budget and they kick down what they can afford to kick down, but they have it on paper and there's no questions, we don't have to, and I could actually do that every year for the town too, just for that small little line item that,
I think it'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
That way we don't have to do any amending. We can
Right.
We can budget it in.
Sure. So, yeah, that's a great idea.
That's a great comment.
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion on that? We're gonna pass the Parks Board. I'm just gonna tell you what kind of came up with. There was Councilman Adie, myself, and Councilman Reddish went up with 5 of the board members. Is this in our packet?
Comments.
Oh, I'm sorry. There is in your packet a list of things that suggestions, and you're more than happy to look at these. But we have, John, or Mr. Vukinich also talked to us about this, and has some ideas also.
yeah, my list that I gave you this morning was very minor.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is, because Councilman Reddish is involved in this to the extent of kind of running this board, I would prefer to table this till he gets back.
You're on the board, you have any?
I would make.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we got
Yes,
a mark, we
we're all-
got
I
a
think
park board
no,
member here.
Yeah, no, he very accurately captured, the first issue was to finish what we'd done, and then there were some very good ideas, and Jim had a lot of information based on his work there, and it will, we will probably make up a fairly long-term plan, after some of these kind of reviews, we'll come up with something longer term than that. There's a couple of long-term issues there, like moving the baseball diamond and things, but most of it was just what needs to happen within the next year.
Right, I
I
meant,
think one thing that the council should be aware of as a board member, I think you need to be aware, there's a $20-some thousand that is in that specific account that has not been spent, mostly because there was not labor costs. And it might be timely to look at taking that amount of money and putting that into a separate park board account that could be created much like a library account. It'd be much more efficient for park operations. I know Reed will hate this idea, but, you know.
It's not, I think the auditors are not cool with it.
Well, there's a lot of unspent money that I don't think should go back to the general fund. And whatever happens during the budgeting process, that park committee needs to have some liquidity to do some things. The second thing that's pretty important is that the grant that Ed Brunsfold put in for the trails adjacent to the park that was awarded, which is $38,000, I think?
35,000.
So that's gonna be a very significant improvement on the trail system right next to the big park, south
And,
of town.
and I do wanna tell you that I did meet with, Mr. Cutler last, what day was that? Last Friday. And he wants to be kind of involved in baseball. You know, he thinks it's a great idea, but he'd like, there's some, I'll talk to you about it, but, there's some suggestions that he has, and he just wants to keep up.
Okay,
Because,
that involves great.
yeah, so, anyway, that's kind of what's going on, with the park, so let's go ahead and.
Could I make one?
Sure,
Sure. There was didn't we have a situation prior to letting the library have their own bank account? Didn't we have that set up so that whatever money they had would not go back into the general fund? That it was
Yeah.
always set to roll over? I think it
Again, the auditors brought it up as a thing that we may need to correct in the future. That money may need to go back into our main checking account, but I can talk to them.
Okay, I guess.
They didn't really like the idea of a separate bank account for the renovation, which is, I don't know why, but,
Because it makes sense.
Well, it was checked into, and it was not, they felt like they needed their own autonomy financially. And because they really have been doing a lot of work.
I think it makes perfect sense.
Well, then we researched it, and we found out that it wasn't illegal for them to do it, so they went ahead and did it.
we'll get it straightened out.
Okay.
The other thing is, I do wanna say, since we do have a park member here, that Mr. Vukinich and I discussed some of the trail work that might have to be done. So I would like him to be able to attend the next board meeting so that he has his ideas and we can see if we can maybe lower some costs and initial planning and stuff like that. Is that correct? Am I saying that correct?
Yeah?
I mean, we'd like to help out. That's the bottom line. We've got equipment, you know, so, anyway, we'll approach that when we have our next board meeting. How's that sound?
Can I ask a
Sure,
question here?
sure.
Have we had anybody respond to the ad?
2 responses.
Yeah, we've had 2 responses for the position, so that's something else that we have to get with Mr. Vukinich and get that he can give us his recommendation and go from there. But we have 2 people that are pretty good candidates, really. One's a teacher and the other one is, been involved in a lot of different things, so I think that it looks good. So, okay, very good. Sewer Lagoon update. Well, this is coming to the forefront here real soon. We have a meeting with the DEQ May 15th. It's scheduled for 1 till 4 o'clock. We do have an agenda that we will get out to the different entities to tell them kind of how the meeting's gonna be set up. There's some questions as to how we can proceed with the reconditioning of the lagoon. We have a different plan than what we had before because of our success with the outflow line has made a big difference, and so we've looked into several different options, and one of them is this air diffusion system. So I'm going to let Mr. Vukinich.
Well, this is just a little bit of a refinement of what we're proposing. Using the sludge reducing bacteria, and it's much like having a compost pile or a burn pile. That you have a big pile of brush, or we have a big pile of sludge, although this is going to be in the lagoon itself, and reducing that pile to ash, and I'm using that kind of as a comparison here. What we're going to try to do is use a specialized bacteria, and this is a historical document where they have done this for 30 years. And so it's it's something that's done all over the country. So, and I think it's a real viable option right now, and I'm glad to see that we're at least going to take a swing at this. You'll see there's a price quote in there, and this is kind of this was some information that I gave them. We still have to test our sludge, which is going to happen probably around the middle of May, and they will give us a little better idea of the composition of the sludge and what kind of specific bacteria we're going to need to digest the sludge. And you know, of course, there's a price there, but the price is for 2 lagoons. So it's a reasonable solution to our dilemma that, and there's really nothing in our permit or the AOC that says we can't do this.
Could you just enlighten the council the difference between the AOC and the permit process?
Well,
What we're striving to try to do is meet the limits that are...
The AOC, the Administrative Order on Consent, is going to end June 1st. And it has certain parameters for biochemical oxygen demand, TSS, nitrogen, E. coli, phosphorus, and we have a spreadsheet that the engineer is working on over the last 3 years now. And it gives a pretty good highlight of actually what's happening with our lagoons. And it's not just our outfall line, it's where we have taken sampling. When I first came here, and I know you've all heard this, that 5 years ago, I was told that the lagoons, and I was told by the engineer, my predecessor, and the mayor, the current mayor at that time, that the lagoons were shot. Well, actually what they were sampling was a very diluted sample right at the lagoon after it went through the old outfall line that was full of, and then Mr. Jenner is here with actually took a video of it, and so a raw influent that was being tested was very little different than what we were discharging into Flint Creek. And that's really what was triggering the comments about the lagoons being shot. They weren't working. Well, yes, they were working, but we couldn't prove it. And when we moved our sampling site, lo and behold, we got a true representation of the raw material that's going to the lagoons, and now we have a good representation of what's going out. So the lagoons are working pretty well. It's just a matter of now dropping our sludge blanket to give us increased water volume where the action all happens there in the lagoon. And we're hoping to continue to meet the requirements. We do have a problem with E. coli, and many communities do during the winter, which we have. Just this last month, we had a little problem with the BOD, and we had just a weekly limit that was exceeded, and the average weekly limit was exceeded by 2 or 3 milligrams, as I remember. So we're close, and so this process that we're anticipating should help immensely.
So we're gonna get an answer here May 15th on how we proceed. That's the bottom line from the DEQ.
Yeah, I think we have to go into that meeting thinking that there is really, as long as we meet the limits of our permit, and to answer your question, the permit limits change from summer to fall, actually even into winter. And you all should have a copy of that permit, so you know what we're up against here with the chemical balances and the things that are happening in the lagoons. And
We sat down and looked at those very carefully on what they actually said in layman's terms.
Yeah.
So I think we have a pretty good grip on that. And it's good. It's a good thing to be doing right now, meeting with them and getting this taken care of. And all the council, of course, I expect you guys to be there. Okay.
I will.
One till 4, and then we will meet with our grant writer after that from 4 to 5:30. So
What day is this?
this is the 15th, which is a Monday.
Okay.
You must be buying dinner.
Yes, I'm buying dinner through,
Good.
yes, the whole,
Or was that Reed buying
yeah.
dinner?
yeah. I gotta watch what I say here, yeah.
I'd like to make a comment and then ask a quick question.
Sure.
My comment is, John, you're doing a really great job, and I'm very impressed with the way this has gone to costing $16 billion, whatever it was. And
Almost 7.2.
yeah, and now you got something that, is manageable, and obviously you've got a good plan, you've done a really, really outstanding job, and I think you need to be commended for it.
Well, thank you. It's all about saving taxpayer dollars.
Right.
And whatever we can do, we're gonna turn over every rock and
Okay, so here's my next question, it's going to you. Okay, so, now you have mentioned that if we build a UV plant for the outflow line, that we can get rid of the E. coli. Will that get rid of anything else, or is that just, that might, that might affect your limits or not? Or is it just gonna treat the E. coli and?
it will help other things.
It will help
And-
other
And
things.
remember too, that this UV plant, little plant as it will be, is really only gonna be needed during those months, and we can identify them.
Right.
During the winter, when we have a problem, during the summer, late spring, summer, even early fall, we don't have any problem with E. coli.
Okay.
Because we got the specific guys down there working and taking
Right.
care of that.
So to actually do the UV, we're talking about a small block building, right? Nothing like what we've got on the
No.
hill, right? Just
No.
this small block
Yeah,
building
exactly.
with a lock on it, and the guys check it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And turn it on and off. That's
Yeah.
basically what we're gonna
Okay. All right.
be doing, yeah.
Okay, is there any, comments from the council? Public?
How about ozone, John?
Well, ozone's a consideration. I haven't given up on ozone. And we're gonna talk with Dan Kramer. He's the ozone expert when he comes down to do our sludge testing.
Yes.
Mayor, I just can't not let this go by because, a decade ago in this room, all the professionals were telling, and none of you were here then, but all the professionals, these highly paid engineers were saying, your lagoons have failed. It's gonna cost, the only thing to do is to put in a mechanical plant. You'll be the smallest town in the state with this mechanical plant. Oh, by the way, it'll probably cost between $150,000 to $200,000 a year to run it, because you have to have a class 1 operator. And don't think there's any option, because the DEQ is gonna come down here and put you all in jail if you don't follow what we're telling you to do. Honest to God, I am not exaggerating that was what this group was told by professional engineers, aided by the DEQ. And I say that when I was a state rep, I said that to their face. We were given a lot of malarkey about what we had to pay. Totally, it would have bankrupted us. Okay, we would have had this pristine machine out there to process this, which we couldn't have afforded. The entire payroll of the town would have had to double. And I'm so proud that we, on our own, without the help of the DEQ, and against one of the most powerful engineering companies in the state, floated a camera down the outfall line to prove that the outfall line was the main reason the entire system was failing. And any engineer worth his salt would have been able to say, let's fix this and see how your lagoons work. But we couldn't get them to do that. We finally got a director of public works that said, wait a minute, let's fix this line. Let's keep all this flood irrigation from Claire Bloom and others from going in here. Let's see how the bugs can work when they aren't diluted so much. And let's test in a place where it's the true effluent versus what's been treated. That's on John, that's on this council, outside of all these highly paid experts and the gentlemen that are gonna visit you on the 15th, who are good people. They're good people. Arrigo and others have cut us some slack. But remember, we have solved that problem on our own here in Philipsburg, in spite of $1 million worth of baloney engineering. And I compliment John and I compliment this council for being able to say, we're gonna move forward with something that's affordable. And I hope you remember that when you sit down with the DEQ, that we need to be an example of how good it can be when a town takes it under our own advisement, rather than all these professionals that cost us nothing but money. And I'm sorry to get emotional about it, because we made a lot of enemies trying to prove that what they were proposing was absolutely ridiculous. And thanks John for being here and having these ideas, and now we are gonna probably have something where we have a balanced system that's affordable and we can move forward as a community. So that's my comment on what's happened with the wastewater and what has happened in the last 10 years, because it's amazing to me that we survived that bullet. And for those of you that weren't here, it was one of those, people were sitting and voting on a $7 million plan, 3-3, with the mayor making the deciding vote. It almost tore our community apart, based on bad advice from a bunch of powerful engineers. And we can't ever forget and not let that happen again, because we made a better decision on our own here in Philipsburg. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very
I
much.
guess we'll see about that decision on the 15th,
Well,
whether it was good or not.
they did, Mr. Arrigo, when we went, John went up, we went and said, we can't solve this one problem, look at all of our problems, and we got another 5 years. And he, in that meeting, said, it's a wonderful quote, he looked around at his staff and he says, have we ever had a town come in and make a presentation like this? I mean, they were impressed with Philipsburg then, but now, now we've got the proof that if they had solved that one problem long, long ago, the lagoons would have still been functioning, instead of proposing this exotic system we never needed.
And if I might point out, we have been back to them, to the DEQ. And we have, it's been a long, long process.
Oh,
I've been
yeah.
on the council for 3 years, and, we wanted to break ground on the outfall line 2 years ago. But the process of the bureaucracy and the engineering you're talking about, which we decided we're not gonna deal with that, we're gonna find an economical way for the town. You're right, we have, and thank you so much, because it's been a lot of hard work. and
Jim was pretty much
thank
instrumental in that conclusive video that he, and actually did you lose one camera or two?
We lost a $200 camera into the sewer lagoon, and David Ray's still claiming that if he finds it, he's gonna bring it to my front door, and I've said, don't worry about it.
I don't think you want that on your front
But
door.
we did, it was interesting because it proved that every joint in that outfall line was failing.
And every manhole was leaking.
Every manhole was leaking, it was the most basic, it was engineering 101, that's what we really should have addressed, instead of building new to fix, this leak.
And it's absolutely unheard of that a community has a mind of its own, has our own direction, and a council now that is recognizing that and proceeding with something that is 21st century.
And I'd like to give Councilman Reddish a pat on the back for all the work that he has been involved with, along with the members of the council that were present at that time. Yeah, I think we've got a good thing going, and we're gonna see if we can, get this thing done. And hopefully we will be able to, so. Okay, very good. Any other comments? Okay, tax options. We talked about this a little bit last meeting. Councilman Johnson is kind of been doing the research on this. Do you have an update on that, or?
I don't really have anything new, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
I'm still working on it.
Okay. All right, weed control. We did have a very good visit with the commissioners. I made a statement to the commissioners that I felt that we weren't getting our bang for our buck from the amount of money that we were spending on the weed spraying. We did not understand that this is not a county road problem, this is a county extension weed problem. That they basically, all they're supposed to do is spray the alleys and the roadways. That's it.
Well,
Go
and
ahead.
potentially the town park
Oh,
as well. But
yes.
Anywhere where it's near private property, they're unwilling to spray, essentially, to take on that risk of
Liability.
hurting someone's log or whatnot. I called Karen, I believe it is, downstairs in the courthouse after we talked with her. I got the letter they've been sending out to people, or had been sending out several years ago regarding weed control. Kind of just a friendly reminder, please take care of your weeds, or you're in violation of state law letter. I was also talking to her about the county's weed board essentially, which there should be one. She didn't have information of whether it currently exists. It has existed in the past. Basically, by state law, every county is its own weed district, and there should be a board governing this district. And again, there has been in the past, but she, for a few years, has not known of anyone that's actually actively meeting or otherwise being a board. So she's going to look into that and let me know if there is indeed a weed board in existence in Granite County. Otherwise, that's something we may want to coordinate with the county on to see if we can reinstitute and properly handle the weeds here in coordination with the county. And once we have some more information on that, I'll be working with you all to either draft a weed ordinance or resolution or whatever we need to do to properly handle those weeds. But I believe the county is a vital player in that game.
Right, and they seem very willing to, and basically what I was told is that if we do have questions about what's being sprayed, what's not being sprayed, we go to this person, and they'll take care of their end of the deal, and the city will take care of our end of the deal.
The other thing I got from our meeting with Karen this morning was it might be good to consider hiring a private entity for spraying some of the other town properties, such as the treatment plant and the smaller parks and whatnot.
And we commented at the last meeting, didn't we, that if we have someone licensed Tordon, we could then acquire that local.
Tordon's out.
Yeah, it sounds like Tordon cannot be generally used within city limits, but there are alternative chemicals, and seems to be an expert
Okay, well,
on the
it was my
chemicals.
understanding if we had a license, then we could get, I think the Viator girl that has that
Yeah,
business, does she not?
Yes, and I believe that we're within our bounds to hire her to do spraying.
Yeah, that would probably be good, although I don't know, and of course, before he will kill that, it just takes a little bit more than it does with Tordon.
I couldn't say. It seems
She
like
said-
she's got an arsenal of chemicals up there that she recommends to folks for various needs.
And she does sell their products, and so does the place down in the hall. Hogan's, they do sell the products, and whatever we decide that we want to use, they'll give us pamphlets. They do believe that it might be a good idea to have possibly a public meeting discussing, you know, just so the public knows what we're trying to do and where we're going.
If the county gets a board to it, I wouldn't mind sitting on it.
That'd probably be great.
I know that it's been a problem since the sixties that I know of back here.
Well, I'll follow up and see what the status of that board is. It seems like it might have just dissipated over the years. I think that would be a good thing to get that running.
Okay, the last thing on our old business is the Belmont street abandonment. We have met with the landowner. We've come up with a basic plan to try to deal with this situation. I don't believe we've come up with any agreement on how we're going to proceed on that. As far as the alley being abandoned versus person buying that particular area from us. My assumption is, and I may be totally wrong and off base here, but I don't believe that we should suck the blood out of people that, you know, come to us with this proposal, even though we want to be very careful in it. But I think that we should be reasonable with the people that are being involved. And, you know, I think we need to do our homework and take a look at actually what that property is worth. And I think that will probably be our next decision is how we want to attack that, because, it is been brought forth to us and we have to make a decision on it, so. Do you have anything else you wanna say on that?
Just- No, I'm prepared to draft whatever we need to draft, but the main thing we need to figure out is what, if anything, is gonna be charged for that, or how that arrangement's gonna work, and then we're ready to go on that. We may need to do public notice again if we don't get it done this meeting, so it's something we should at least hope to nail down for
Yeah,
next
well-
meeting, public notice, and then take action the following meeting.
Yeah.
Could there
That's
be a
another one.
consideration, you know, based
That's
on,
in 2 weeks,
the management of the property and how they maintain it, be part of, you know, to keep the cost lower, or whatever the deal's gonna be in their favor, you know,
That's-
that they
Certainly,
agree.
he's doing it because he wants to improve his property, and
Right.
that's obvious from his other properties.
Right, so if we just
It's
built
not
that
hard
as
to-
part of the agreement that he maintains.
I think you have to establish a value using comparable property, what's comparable property sold for.
And
Cost per square foot, square yard.
We've never charged to give an alley away before, have we?
Well, this is an alley and a street.
It's a
It's a
street.
He wants
street,
the
it's
street
not-
abandoned, but he also wants the alley abandoned.
Part of it is already abandoned.
We have never, to my knowledge, charged for it, but we have made exchanges of land for it, which is almost a charge, but.
The thing is, Belmont runs south-north, okay? The bottom part of it has been abandoned. The part that he wants to build his shop on is what he's talking about. The alleyway has a building already on it. And we do have the street down below that you were mentioning.
Well, Belmont is the street that's on the west side of the ice rink. And it's a dedicated street, and it goes up the hill to Mill Street. And Belmont in the winters become the sledding hill. But it is a dedicated 40-foot wide street, I think, isn't it, John?
It's at least 20.
And as, I think it's 40.
Might be
It's-
40.
It's literally on the west side of the rink, so it's very important access. And then it goes up the hill very steeply to Mill Street, and then as it continues, it would go from Mill Street over to the school. And what I think Chris owns one half of, the half of it that's closest to the school, and the other half is what he wants to have abandoned, which is basically a view lot, you know, coming to the edge of Mill Street. And I say this because my property joins it too, and that whole area gets used for the concert. And Mill Street itself, if you abandon Belmont where Chris is, that probably wouldn't be a problem, but Mill Street itself does need to be addressed because that's pretty important access to the top of the entire arena there. But that's Belmont, and what would happen with Belmont with this, it would terminate at Mill Street, right, John? Instead of, it technically now goes all the way through from the west side of the rink right up into the school playground, but he owns half of that, I think, now? He somehow bought, I don't know how he could have bought a street, but
Previous owner traded it for another piece of property.
couldn't have happened, cause it would have been a government, it's been a street, it's on the maps, I mean, how did it,
Traded it with the government
With
for
us.
another piece that.
okay,
was
well,
then-
traded it, okay.
Yeah,
In the sands of time.
there was a land trade. They traded that portion for another piece of property that they owned that evidently the city was all
Needed.
right in taking, yeah.
I believe that allowed them to extend another street, I forget exactly which street we're talking about, but we have a resolution from roughly 1989 that
Okay.
did that trade.
But as a neighboring person there, I think the one thing that Belmont, where he wants it, is not critical. But what happens to Mill Street, I think is fairly important to the access to the top of the rink, and that's where it'd be good to be able to put an emergency vehicle in the future and other things, so that Mill Street has never really been touched, but I think that still needs to stay as pretty decent access to the top of the arena. Unless you wanna,
Mill Street, I think, goes across the top there.
East-west.
East-west, yeah.
yeah, and that's a.
Belmont Belmont essentially ends at Mill Street.
Well,
They-
it ends at Mill Street and then goes into one half, which is what Chris wants abandoned, and then the other half was horse trading. Right? That's
The
not,
piece he's
that's not
looking
the
at
legal
is-
term, but,
The piece he's looking at is 40 by 100 feet.
yeah, that would be,
And then if you add in the alley that is in there, that's running the opposite at a 90-degree angle, there's an alley there that part of that's got a building on it already, is the other 14. So actually, he's looking at 140 or 40 by 114 foot piece of property that he wants abandoned.
is that alley on the cadastral, you know?
I don't know if it is or not.
I don't think so. I don't think so. So what is our next procedure then?
To determine, well, first off, whether or not to do it, second, the price, and then I can draft a resolution to that effect, and then vote on that resolution.
Do you believe that we need a public hearing, or do we have
We,
to?
that is today. We public notice, this is the public hearing.
Okay.
We may need another one. I've gotta look into whether the statute requires us to have a notice for the meeting in which we're gonna act upon it, which would be the passing of the resolution. I believe we're likely to need another notice for that meeting.
Okay.
But we are noticed for tonight.
So we would make that decision on our June meeting?
Yes, unless you wanted to make it tonight, you'd be within the rights to do so.
No, I don't feel that we have, I think we have some other discussion that we need to do here before we
I agree.
agree with that, so. So that's where that's sitting. Is there any questions from the council on that? How about the public? Did you have your hand up?
My only comment is that, you know, if something's not doing us any good, like Belmont that's running up and down the hill, deal with it. But something that has some potential to create some benefit down the road. You know, Belmont is, I don't even think you can safely call that a safe street, really, you know. But the one that runs east and west on top, you know, once you give up space, you've given it up. They don't make any more land. And-
Well, and that's my thought with
Right.
this Mill Street, that's the first thing that, you know,
Anyway, that's,
One thing, piggybacking off of that, might be a consideration is whether any piece of that alley, I understand there's a building there, but if any other piece is a worthwhile trade or not, that might be a consideration.
okay. All right, well, we will, make a decision on this, I'll get, Mr. Medoff's take on it, I'll let the council know, and then we will put that as a decision on our June meeting. Sound okay to the council?
Fine, sounds good.
Yep. Okay. Appoint new council members to committees, that's our new business. So what do we have there?
It's just Nicole. It's probably a formality. We just need to actually get her on some council or on some committees.
Okay, so at this
So-
time, she has not been put on any committees?
Yeah.
Okay. And what, you have the sheet? Okay.
Yes.
So the question is, where would that fit for you? Or you mentioned the library as possibly one of them that you would
Absolutely.
replace Julian.
No, we'll both stay.
Oh, you both stay, okay. Is there any other one there that,
The finance committee.
okay, cool, perfect. You don't get to work with me.
And me again?
All right, so we are gonna appoint her to the, finance committee and the library liaison committee.
We can probably just turn that
We
into a
could do
committee now.
committee instead of a liaison.
Okay.
We need a motion for that.
Need a, okay, do I have a motion to?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, that is all I have on our agenda for tonight. We had a pretty good lengthy meeting here. Non-agenda items, so council, is there anything that we need to look at that has been brought to your attention.
I have a question for our lawyer. This is just a procedural question, is I'd like to get together with my fellow council members who are on the finance committee and pitch an idea by them. Do I need to, can we do that relatively privately, or do we always have to declare that we're having a meeting?
How many members are on that?
Well, now there's 4 now that Nicole's on it.
Well, actually, there's only 3 council people.
It's still with
Yeah, one's the mayor.
Still with that 3 being a quorum, I believe we have to notice
Okay,
it.
okay.
Okay, anything else? Public? Yes.
On behalf of the Rotary Club, my third thing to talk about tonight. Believe it or not, it's been 10 years since we did our first fundraiser down at the ice rink. And now this will be concert number 8. Here's a poster suitable for framing. I want to emphasize Rotary wants to make sure, I'll leave this and read, I guess. The town is always cleaned up in advance and cleaned up afterwards, and you failed to bill us, I think, or failed to tell us kind of what the amount was, and I just want to be on record that it looks like we'll have, we had 3,000 people last year, probably more people in one day than all the other events put together. This year, it's not Arbor Day, we've decided to do it as a birthday concert, and we're calling it that. We've had early, very, very strong, I think we sold almost 100 tickets in the first day. So, and the comments are phenomenal from people, mostly Facebook, of Philipsburg, I love Philipsburg, this will be the best party of the summer. It's noon to 5, it's on a Saturday, we will go through all of the things we've done before, and we've kind of perfected this. There will be a parking area down near the Sunshine Station with a shuttle. There's free RV parking at the Sunshine Station, and then John's done a wonderful job of making sure we had enough Santa cans and the other things. And I'm teasing him about sending the bill, but there's no doubt in Rotary's mind, we want to make sure that you understand that part of the proceeds of this will go towards any expense the town incurs and more. And because, you know, we put that together, the whole venue together mutually. So anyway, it's a great lineup, and I think we'll probably have, I don't know if we'll have 3,000 people, but I think we're going to have a great crowd. And one of the important things to Rotary is the fact that we used the Arbor Day name a couple of times. This time it's just our own event. If we get that kind of a turnout, it's indicative that this concert and Philipsburg and the arena is its own brand. It's going to be able to do something once or twice a year that is, you know, that kind of an event, which is, this one you have to admit, I mean, people come to town and they have a great time, and there's a little bit of trash, but other than that, we haven't had problem one in 10 years. The first 2 years were simply auctions to pay for the building and then retire the mortgage, and then we started the concerts. But Steve, do you have anything to add on Rotary's behalf on that?
You know, it's, as former sheriff, it's been a real treat working on this thing. You know, you get throngs of people in there and they're all eating and drinking beer and dancing and stuff like that, and then when it's over, they're gone. And we always hire law enforcement presence down there, and they're bored. We're going to keep hiring them to be bored, but I just think it's a wonderful thing for the community, and the more people that come and spend their money, the more money we give away, basically, and that's very important to us.
And we will have, last 2 years we raised $10,000 each year for the University of Montana. This year, most of it will be for, you know, Rotary and local charities, but we also have 4 slots for vendors that'll be nonprofits that'll be down there to sell food. So it goes way beyond just Rotary. And that's, you know, last year we presented a $20,000 check to to the library at that event. So it's part of what, you know, where the money that we raise goes.
Well, along with, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, along with the foresight of Mr. Jenner, the Rotary Club bought the property directly across the street, which has the little gray house, used to be the little yellow house, is now gray. So that has the potential of becoming quite a total venue. We had how many food vendors we had there last year?
3 there, Valley Fire came and they sold barbecue and they netted $5,000, which is, you know, believe me, the elk feed, we'd like to do that twice. It was a good event for everybody. That kind of food court arena, one of the things we're working on, and we'll talk to you about, is we want to figure a way to have a permanent stage, because the stage that we have, which Ed Lord spent so much time building, has to be moved into place and then moved away because it creates a reflection on the ice in the winter. But having to do that, we need to come up with something that's a little easier on some of our 80-year-old members of Rotary, or they're down there putting that thing together. And, no, seriously, it's worrisome to see Winninghoff and Ed and those guys. They don't complain, but we're looking at trying to fund some kind of permanent stage, whether something that's next to the rink and then rolls back, maybe onto the property or comes forward. And we will be asking you, and maybe you can put it in your minutes now, but we want Stockton Street closed probably for the week before the event.
John, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I think we pretty much did that last year. It was something close to that.
Yeah.
I know we were down there doing some cleanup and.
You were down there mowing the lawn for 2 days.
Well, that was on my time, that was fine.
But the big thing is, I want you to coordinate with Mr. Vukinich how you guys want to proceed with, because I know Mr. Councilman Ady has been involved in that in the past, and we want a smooth transition on the garbage and all that, and
We'll handle it just like we did last year.
Yeah.
And I did present our treasurer, Rotary treasurer, Zane, with a bill.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I
How
did.
much was it?
Which was it, Reed?
I
300?
don't know offhand, so we can look in the records,
Did you get
but
paid?
Yeah, he wrote us a check. I'm pretty sure he did. Yeah.
Expected to be done.
Bills for more.
Yeah.
Easy enough.
The reason I brought that up earlier when I was giving my little presentation about trash is, you know, it's a great venue. It's a little different than just a park. It's a venue, okay? So we need to look at it a little differently. And we'll never break even on it, quite honestly, but the people that use it need to be responsible, whether they're a not-for-profit or whether it's somebody's birthday party, you know? So I think that the Rotary's done a really good job that way, and now that everybody's understanding the concept of how much garbage this town generates between June 1st and August 31st is incredible. So, that's enough.
Okay,
I got one more thing.
sure.
I don't know if everybody knows the airport now has a courtesy car that can be checked out, so anybody flying into the Philipsburg airport has the opportunity to check this vehicle out. I think they're limiting it for 2 hours at a time. There's a number to call, there's a number on the lockbox to get the vehicle. It's a 4-wheel drive Jeep. Real nice that the airport and the county commissioners decided to get. It's being used. It's been used several times already. Vince Reese, the chairman of the airport board, has put it out to all his pilot friends, so I think we're gonna see it being used a lot. He says there's quite an interest of people flying in from Hamilton and Stevensville, different little areas to come down and spend a couple hours in town, and now they can get from the airport to town. So.
Dwayne, is that little white one I saw?
It's a white Jeep, yeah.
I saw the town crew pulling that.
That's the town crew.
Yeah, they
pulling it?
Yeah, they were pulling it somewhere, or it was either the county, maybe, or the town, I thought.
I
It's-
didn't hear that one.
I
but-
didn't hear that one,
It
it's,
sounds like a loaner done,
Yeah, I saw it, was been pulling it down Broadway, I was wondering, well.
We'll get a couple horses for it.
Gee.
Let 'em
I don't think it was probably that one. I've ridden in this one, I don't think it has any mechanical problems, it was a very nice Jeep, but anyway. It's a station wagon, it's not the short one, but anyway, that's something to look at, so. If Steve gets somebody that wants to stay at his bed and breakfast that needs a ride back out to the airport to leave the courtesy car,
actually, I'll give him a ride.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that.
I'm sure you will. That's what Vince is hoping for. If the people are gonna stay overnight wherever they're staying, they can get the courtesy car, so it's
Or they
not,
can call me, I'll drive my own car.
well, and that's what he's gonna have a list down there, so whoever gets it's gonna give their cell phone number, so, you know, he's looking that if this goes over good, they might need 2 or 3 down there during the summer.
Uber.
Yeah,
I was gonna call it, is that Mr. Uber out there in the audience?
yeah.
Steven Uber? Okay,
No
let's,
response.
You know, I'm trying to do the best I can.
I like your fence.
very nice.
Very nice.
Can I make a motion
Yes,
to adjourn?
Seconded.
second it, all in favor, say aye. Aye.